In this video, we're going to look at a solution to find max length, which is a function in our list exercise. And what this function is going to do is it's going to take a list of strings and it's going to find the longest length string in the list. Now, if you've already done findMax, which was our previous function we wrote, which took a list of ints and found the maximum value, this should be too much of a modification. And in fact, I've already written the code as opposed to writing in the video. So the real kind of key idea here is that what we want to make sure we understand is that when we have a list of strings, we can pull out an element and then apply a string function to it. And in this case, we could take the length of the list and use that when we're looking for the max. Now, there is one little problem with this. Well, hopefully you'll see this. And again, make sure you don't call this function, this variable here max, because if you do, it's going to cause a problem if you use the maximum function in this built-in max function. Okay. So what do? We make a variable called max length, and we take the length of the very first string in the word. And again, because my list, I've made a precondition in this. I said it's going to contain a list of strings. That means that this element must be a string, therefore I can take the length of it. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my for I in range to look at each element and apply the max function that will compare the current max length to the length of the element that I'm looking at. And that works perfectly fine. There you go. So the only difference here from finding the max value in a list is that we need to actually take the length of the string contained in the list. Now there's one other minor difference with this problem, and what that is that we've said that the list can have a length of 0, which means if I make another test case down here and I try and pass this an empty list, we're going to have a problem. And there it is. So let's make sure we understand what the issue is. The issue is this line right here. So if the length of the list is 0, we cannot access the first element, which has an index of 0. So len of bracket list at 0 causes an index out of bounds error. So what we need to do, so what's the solution? The solution is to do a check of the length before running the function, or the rest of the function code. If the length is 0, exit and return 0. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen here. We might exit return 0 because maybe you interpret this problem that a list of strings with nothing in it, well, the longest string in that's going to be a length of 0. Or maybe what you say is you return -1 to indicate that the list is empty. And in fact, let's do that. Let's return -1 to indicate an empty list. That means we can, as programmers, then we could do something with that. And that separates itself from a list with empty element in it versus a list with no elements. So let's just make this little fix. So we're just going to say if len of bracket list is equivalent to 0, we're going to return -1. And that solves our problem. Now, I get -1 in this situation where my list is empty. So this is a big idea. Always think about the case where my list is empty and watch for that. And it's really common to put some sort of conditional statement at the top of your function that accounts for that special situation. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.